Hi, ang subject natin ay PRE7 Business Combination. Continuation tayo ng ating topic. So, nag-start muna tayo on paano ang treatment ng investor or ng parent entity sa kanyang separate financial statements with regards to their investment in subsidiary. So, andun yung different approach, pwedeng cost method, pwede ring equity method, at pwede ring fair value method. So, dahil hindi pa fully discuss sa inyo ang individual treatment sa bawat items, maganda kung i-discuss muna natin yung example, yung inyong pre-assessment last time sa investment treatment, iba't ibang treatment sa investment in equity securities depende sa purpose. Okay? So, discuss natin yung inyong activity. So, pwedeng kuhanin nyo muna yung problem, then i-discuss natin. Okay, sabi dun sa inyong activity, on January 1, 2017, Heaven Company acquired 20% of the ordinary shares of an associate for 6 million. On this date, all the identifiable assets and liabilities of the associate were recorded at fair value. An analysis of the acquisition showed that goodwill of 300,000 was acquired. Then the net income and dividend of the associate were as follows. Net income 2017 3 million, 2018 4 million, dividend paid 1 million, 2018 1.5 million. So para makita agad natin yung differences ng bawat treatment, so kinonsider natin na may fair value yung shares na ito at nilagyan natin ang amount, number of shares na 10,000 shares at 700 and 650 respectively. In December 2017, the associate sold inventory to Heaven Company for 900,000. The cost of the inventory was 600,000. The inventory remained unsold by Heaven Company on December 31, 2017. However, it was sold by Heaven Company in 2018. So, may inventory, may transaction between the Heaven and its associate. As the associate nagbenta kay Heaven, yung owner with a significant influence. And as of December 2018 naman, associate sold inventory to Heaven, another transaction na may cost, ang sales price ay 750, ang cost ay 500,000. At the end of the year, it is still unsold by Heaven Company. So later on, i-discuss natin yung implication niyan. So balik tayo sa PowerPoint. So, ang treatment natin ay depende sa purpose natin kung bakit siya in-invest at kung siya ba ay tradable sa stock market. In case na yan ay tradable sa stock market, ang treatment natin ay pwedeng fair value, pwedeng associate, pwedeng subsidiary. Trading securities, kung purpose natin ay mag-take advantage sa price fluctuation, pero kung para maka-acquire tayo ng significant influence dun sa operation nung associate natin, so investment in associate, pero kapag ang purpose natin ay to control the entity, it is investment in subsidiary. So, yung discussion muna natin ay as if dun yung cases. Kasi pagdating mo sa subsidiary, sa parent lang ha. Statement ni parent, pwede kasi niyang gamitin cost method, pwede ring equity method, pwedeng fair value method. Kaya kailangan muna nating balikan, gaya ng nasabi na ng nakaraan, kung ano yung treatment natin para doon. So, discuss natin. Gamit yung given, sabi dyan, problem 25, dash 1. Case 1. Case 1 natin, trading securities or financial asset at fair value through profit or loss. So, ibig sabihin, any changes sa profit or loss ay dinedetermine natin sa income statement, hindi sa comprehensive income. So, ang treatment natin pag trading securities, financial asset through profit or loss, o kaya ay OCI, ang difference nila, kasi kapag yung unrealized gains or losses sa trading securities, ano yun? Temporary account, kino-close agad, part ng nako-close sa retained earnings. Unlike sa AFS or dun sa ating financial asset at fair value through other comprehensive income, yung net income natin plus other comprehensive income, part siya ng other comprehensive income na may separate line item pagdating dun sa stockholders equity. Hindi kino-close sa retained earnings. Instead, may separate line item siya unless sold. Okay? So next is anong entry natin dun sa, so pwede nyong sundan yung inyong mga ginawa. So anong entry sa initial January 1, 2017? So bago natin i-analyze, so dahil parehas naman fair value ang TS at EFS, so determine muna natin yung change in fair values. So 10,000 shares yung ating idinagdag sa given. So 6 million, end of year 2017 naging 7 million, end of year 2018 naging 6.5 million. So from January 1 to December 31, 2017, may change. Change in fair value by how much? 1 million. So therefore, kung ang treatment natin ay fair value approach, so dapat natin i-consider yung changes in fair values. From 17 to 18, nag-decrease ng 500,000. Wait, gawin natin negative yung 500,000. Ayan, so negative 500,000. So, i-recognize natin ito. At ito, other than the dividend, so trading securities, AFS, available for sale securities, or financial assets at fair value through other comprehensive income and non-marketable. So, sa non-marketable equity securities, ang kaibahan niya, wala siyang easily quotable na stock prices. So, ibig sabihin, hindi mo agad siya maibebenta kasi walang available stock market. Hindi siya listed sa PSE. So, ang treatment pag ganun, hindi readily available ang market prices, the investment in non-marketable equity securities. So, ang tinitingnan lang natin doon ay yung amount ng dividendo. Yung cost natin, kung magkano yung cost at the initial date, yun yung cost natin. Hindi natin na-recognize any changes in fair value kasi nga hindi available ang fair value. So, mag-start tayo dun sa case 4. Okay, mag-start tayo sa case 4. Sa case 4, sabi dyan, magkaroon ng investment. So, tulad-tulad lang sa initial investment. Unless yung acquisition cost, kapag other than trading securities, ika-capitalize part ng investment. Pero kung yan ay trading securities, yung expenses natin ay expense outright. Yung acquisition cost natin. So kung yan ay, palitan natin ang title, non-marketable equity securities dapat. Okay, palit na. So non-marketable equity securities. So tatandaan natin, yung fair values disregard kasi kung yung stock na yan ay non-marketable equity securities. So, meaning, walang available fair values. So, bakit may fair values dun sa challenge, dun sa problem? So, dinagdag lang natin siya. Pero as if no fair value yung treatment natin. So, meaning, paano yung journal entries natin pag siya ay walang available fair market values? So, initial entry, we have January 1, investment in non-marketable equity securities 6 million and credit cash 6 million. On year end, sabihin natin yung dividendo. So, ang inaabangan lang natin dyan sa non-marketable equity securities, dividend. Kaya tayo nag-invest. So, para maka-receive tayo, pwedeng regularly ng dividendo. So, yun lang yung transaction natin every year end. So, magkano bang dividendo? 1 million, so 20% yung atin, so 200,000. Debit cash, naka-receive ng cash. Credit dividend income. So, pwede nyo i-review yung mga transactions nyo sa corporation, accounting, yung date of declaration, date of record, date of ex-dividend date at date of issuance or payment or distribution. Okay? So, may i-account ba tayo para sa net income? Wala na. May i-account ba tayo sa dividendo lang? So, wala na tayong ibang journal entries. Then, as of the following year, December 31, 2018, naka-receive ulit tayo ng dividendo. So, ang dividendo ay 1.5 million, 20% lang sa atin. So, debit cash, credit dividend income, 300,000. So, ganun lang kasimple kapag non-marketable equity securities. So, ang naaapektuhan lang ay yung dividend income at yung investment. Sa una, So, ang apektado ay yung dividend income. Okay. Okay? Yung tinutukoy na ano dyan, yung tinutukoy na inventory dyan, hindi yung investment ha. Yun yung diniscuss natin previously in inventories. Inventory ni associate. Kung siya ay hardware, deconstruction materials yung binenta niya. Hindi yung mismong investment ha, ang binenta dyan. So, okay? Okay, kaya ang interest lang natin kung siya ay non-marketable equity securities ay sa una, yung investment. Ikalawa, kung merong dividends. Okay? Done. Next. Punta tayo sa case number 1. Okay, balik kayo. Pwede nyo balikan yung inyong mga ginawa. So, case number 1, ang treatment natin, trading securities. So, from non-marketable equity securities, may dividendo pa din at same entry lang. Debit cash, credit dividend, income. Anong kaibahan pag sa non-marketable equity securities versus trading securities? Ang kaibahan lang, nare-recognize natin any changes in fair value. Okay? So, year 1, nag-increase ng 1 million. Year 2, nagbaba ng 500,000. So, let's see. Okay? So, debit financial asset at fair value through profit or loss or trading securities. Credit, cash, 6 million. In case na may mga acquisition costs, expense outright. Kung other than TS, capitalize. December 31, 2017, dividend yan. So, debit cash, credit, dividend income, 200,000. So, kagaya lang, di ba, nung sa non-marketable equity securities. Ang kaibahan, every year end, i-remeasure mo yung iyong financial asset, yung investment mo. Kasi nga, traded siya sa stock exchange. So, ibig sabihin, kung as of December 31, binenta natin yung property, yung ating investment, iba na ang value niya, 7 million na. So, meaning, yung nasa ledger natin, 6 million pa lang. Kulang. So, dagdagan natin. Kulang ng 1 million. So, debit, financial asset at fair value through profit or loss or trading securities, 1 million. And credit what? Any changes ng TS or AFS, i-recognize natin as unrealized gain or loss. Unrealized. So, ang tawag sa investment dyan, paper loss pa lang or paper gain. Bakit? Kasi nga, hindi mo pa nabebenta naman talaga actually yung investment. Dahil sa stock market, gaya ng pinakita ko sa inyo last time, pabago-bago ang stock price. Okay. So, credit, gain or loss, increase in asset, so gain tayo. Gain ng 1 million. Ang tanong, saan i-recognize yung unrealized gain? Di sa profit or loss. Kasi kaya tinawag siyang financial asset at fair value through profit or loss. Hindi sa other comprehensive income. So, meaning, yung 1 million magiging part ng net income. Okay. So, December 31, 2018, so naka-receive pa rin tayo ng dividendo worth 300,000 or 1.5 million times 20%, 300,000. So, from 7 million, kung recall natin kanina, from 7 million, naging 6.5 million. Bumaba. So, kung bumaba siya, mababawasan. So, sa ating ledger, ang value ng ating investment, 7 million. Pero ang value na lang talaga niya, 6.5 million. So, dapat nating bawasan, gain or loss. Bumaba ang value ng asset. So, loss. May loss tayo na 500,000. Credit. Trading securities, 500,000. So, meaning, nagbawas na yung 500,000. So, as of December 31, 2018, ang value na ng investment ay 6.5 million. At may loss tayo na 500,000 due to the decrease in fair value of the trading securities. Okay, so from non-marketable equity securities, ang napadagdag lang, nagre-recognize tayo ng unrealized gains and losses at nare-reflect natin yun sa value ng investment. So, pagpunta natin sa AFS, ano yung change? Tatandaan nyo, ang differential lang kung saan nare-recognize yung unrealized gains or losses. Okay? Puntahan natin. AFS, case 2. Same din lang na bago ang pangalan. Kung may cost tayo, i-add natin dyan. So, same din lang yung dividendo. Cash, dividend income. So, ano yung dividend income? Distribution ng certain part ng net income ng company. Then, kagaya din lang sa trading securities, ang kaibahan niya, kung kanina sa profit or loss, pagdating mo dito sa AFS, sa OCI na. Kasi, financial asset at fair value through other comprehensive income. So, meaning, ito hindi magiging part ng net income. Nakahiwalay. At ito ay real account. Real account siya. So, ituloy natin. Okay. So, kagaya ng dividend, sige. Kagaya ng kanina. At pagdating dito, di ba kanina unrealized loss sa trading securities? Pagdating mo dito, unrealized gain. Bakit unrealized gain? OCI. Kasi nga, itong pag may nakakabit sa unrealized gains or losses na OCI, isa lang ang dapat mag-exist. Hindi pwedeng may unrealized gain tapos may unrealized loss. So, ibig sabihin, kung may balance tayo kanina na 1 million na unrealized gain na naka-credit, dapat pag magkaka-loss tayo, ubusin mo muna lahat ng iyon, tapos tsaka ka lang magkakaroon ng unrealized loss, debit. So, isa lang ang pwedeng mag-exist. It's either gain or loss. Depende yun sa kung debit or credit balances. Pero yung credit, same din lang. I-reflect natin siya dun sa value ng investment. Okay? So, paano ang presentation? Itong unrealized gain, di meron kang net income, plus minus unrealized gain or loss, OCI, other comprehensive income. Tsaka palang pupunta din sa overall net income. Tapos, hindi natin i-close yung OCI sa retained earnings. Instead, may separate line item doon sa ating stockholders equity na unrealized gain. Okay? Kaya pag tinanong magkano yung balanse ng unrealized gain as of December 31, 2018, 500,000. So 1 million minus 500,000. Okay. So, yun yung difference, ha? Tatandaan nyo? So, pag may mga iba't ibang approaches, titingnan nyo lagi, ano ba yung difference ng isa from dun sa pinaka-simple, papunta dun sa pinaka-exciting. Mula dun sa pinaka-simple, dun sa pinaka-exciting na part. Okay. So, NMES, ano lang yon, investment, tsaka recognize ka ng dividendo. Pag naging yung TS, yung change in fair value i-recognize mo. I-recognize mo as unrealized gain or loss ang treatment profit or loss. I-reflect yung change sa value ng investment. Pero kapag EFS na yan, tandaan nyo no, unrealized gains or loss ay real account. Ina-update mo yun. Isa lang pwede mag-exist. Gain or loss. Pero dun sa TS, isa din lang naman talaga yung mag-exist. Pero, isa lang ang mag-exist. Pero, ikino-close mo yun sa retained earnings eh. Pero itong unrealized gain OCI, hindi mo siya kino-close. May separate line item yan sa stockholders equity. Okay? So, ganun lang pag non-marketable equity securities, trading securities, AFS. Pero yan lahat ng investment na yan ay equity, meaning ownership, owner yung holder ng investment. May hiwalay pa tayong discussion para sa debt securities. So, ibig sabihin instead na owner, lender yung holder ng investments. Okay? Okay. So, ang kasunod na nating topic ay investment in associate. Pero bago natin i-discuss yung case 3, investment in associate, magkaroon muna tayo ng separate discussion para sa investment in associate. Separate illustration para sa investment in associate para makita natin yung kompletong figure ng transaction. Okay? Okay, mag-sample muna tayo ng transaction sa investment in associate. Ito naman yung nasa book ni Balix. Hindi yan. Ayan, illustration number 1. At the beginning of the year, an investor purchased, so pwede nyo isulat yung mga given, purchased 40% of ordinary shares outstanding of an investee for 15 million. So, ang ibinayad para maka-acquire ng investment, 15 million. When net assets of the investee amounted to 30 million. Ito din yung dinidiscuss natin dun sa ating business combination. Ang kaibahan niya lang, walang consolidation dito. Walang consolidation. Okay. So, meaning, 30 million, 40% yan ang atin. So, ang na-acquired nating book value ay 40% times 30 million, 12 million. Okay. 12 million ang na-acquire natin, book value. Ang binayad natin, 15 million. Magkano ang excess payment natin? 3 million. Okay. Pwede nyo i-note. At acquisition date. Bakit nagbayad tayo ng excess na 3 million? So, gaya pa rin ng dati, dahil pwedeng undervalued yung assets ni investee. At acquisition date, the carrying amount of identifiable assets and liabilities of the entity were equal to fair value, except for the following. Equipment whose fair value was 7 million greater than its carrying amount. So, 7 million. So, out of 7 million, ilang percent ang sa atin? 40%. Okay, compute tayo ng 40%. 2.8 million. Inventory whose fair value was 2.5 million greater than its carrying amount. So 2.5 million times 40%, so 1 million ang sa atin. Magkano ang total? 2.8 plus 1, 3.8 million. Okay. The equipment has a remaining life of 4 years and the inventory was all sold during the current year. So, anong gagawin natin dyan? Yung equipment may 4 million. So, anong effect? Yung equipment mo, kung mas mataas na mag-start tayo dun sa tama, equipment. 4 years. So, ibig sabihin, sino ang may mas mataas na depreciation? Or yung depreciation ng investee company ay mas mababa. So, ibig sabihin, kung na-increase ang carrying amount niya, kulang yung supposed to be na na-recognize niya as depreciation. So, hindi naman natin pwedeng gawin yun dahil sa books ni investee, kasi nga, siya yung naka-going concern assumption. And, itong inventories, nabenta daw lahat. So, yung 2.5 million, pag nabenta mo ang inventories, so, lalabas ang inventories, decrease in asset, magkakaroon ka ng expense. Anong type ng expense? Cost of sales. So, cost of sales, kulang ang cost of sales na na-recognize ni investee ng 2.5. So, sobra yung net income niya. Paano natin i-reflect yun sa ating books or sa investments natin? Okay. The investee reported net income of 20 million for the current year and paid 5 million cash dividend at year-end. So, anong concern natin sa net income ni investee at sa cash dividend? So, sa cash dividend, may entry tayo dyan particularly, pero ganito yan. Owner tayo. Kung sa trading securities and AFS, normally ang tinitreat nating ownership yung mismong investment. The investment itself lang, yung stocks na ni-acquire natin. Pero, kapag investment in associate niya or in subsidiary, pag sa investment in associate, iniisip mo, partly owner ka nung corporation. Partly owner ka ng corporation. Though sa TS tsaka EFS, owner ka din naman. Kaso, ang iniisip mo, owner ka lang nung mismong shares. Idinidisregard mo yung ownership to the corporation itself. Kasi dividendo lang yung intention mo doon. At yung changes sa fluctuation, parehas yun. Changes ng stock prices para mag-take advantage ka doon. Pero pag associate, gusto mo na siyang ma-influence tinitreat mo na siya as ikaw din. Kaso partly lang. Significant influence lang yung meron ka. Though dahil may significant influence ka, pwede mong i-strategize na yung operation mo ay ma-i-integrate mo dun sa associate mo. Especially kung pwede siyang i-integrate. Pwedeng as a supplier or customer. Okay. So, dahil ang treat mo, hindi mo lang tinitreat yung mismong shares lang ang iniisip mong asset mo. Pag associate, tinitreat mo yung corporation as iyo din, as isa lang kayo. Kasi partly lang yung ownership mo. Any income ni investee, sa'yo din. Any income ni investee ay sa iyo din naman. Tapos, meaning, may share dun sa net income sa investor. May share siya dun sa net income. I-recognize niyo yun. At any amount as dividend, dahil partly owner ka nung investee, hindi mo siya ititreat as income. Kasi ang tinitreat mong income, yung total. Yung dividendo kasi, certain part lang nung income na dinidistribute sa stockholders. Kaya, itong 5 million, eh, technically, ando na yun sa 20 million kung saan yung part noon, i-recognize mo as income. So, paano ang treatment mo dun sa cash dividend? Ang treatment mo dyan ay return of capital. As if isinoli na yung investment mo or investment natin. Okay, so e-entry natin. So, ano yung e-entry natin dyan? So, we have the investment. Okay. So, i-graph muna natin para mas madali nating maunawaan. Magkano cost natin? 15 million. Magkano book value? 12 million. 50 million na cost ang ibinayad ng company. Pero ang book value lang naman ay 20 million. So, magkano yung excess na binayad natin? 3 million. Yung excess payment natin to the net assets of the corporations, representing 40% of the ownership. Nagbayad tayo niyan kasi yung per values nung investee company ay undervalued. Kaya ano yung gagawin natin? Magkano yung undervaluation na yon representing 40%. Kasi 40% lang naman yung itong 3 million na yan. Okay. So, yung excess doon sa mga fair values, excess fair values sa book value, ay paghiwa-hiwalay natin kung siya ay non-depreciable PPE, depreciable PPE, or other than PPE. So, ano yung depreciable PPE? Ito yung ating equipment. Ano itong non-PPE? Yung inventories. At non-depreciable PPE. Anong sample ng non-depreciable PPE? Land. So, yung tatlong yan, yung nag-exceed ang fair value niya sa kanyang book values. Magkano total? 3.8 million. Ang ibinayad lang natin na excess ay 3 million. Pero yung excess fair values nung ating investee sa kanyang equipment and inventory, 3.8 million. Yung share natin So meaning, nag-gain na tayo. Kumbaga, dun sa ating discussion last time, ito yung gain. Purchase bargain. Gain. Gain on purchase bargain. Okay. So, magkano ang gain natin? So, walang goodwill kung mas taas pa yung excess payments sa excess fair values, may goodwill sana. Nakamura tayo. So, gain na yun. So, additional income and treatment natin. So, paano ang journal entries natin dyan? So, ang journal entries natin ay ganito. So, yung investment, so debit investment in associate, credit cash, 15 million. So, yun na yun, 15 million. Yun yung amount na ibinayad natin. $15 million. So, tayo ay may excess. Sorry, mamaya yung excess natin. So, may excess tayo na 800,000 later, i-allocate natin. Pero, to review, magkano nga ba yung kanyang net profit? 20 million. So, dahil treated natin siya as atin din, yung corresponding share natin ay income na din natin yan. Kasi yung income ni investee, income na din ni investor pag-associate. Saan natin i-reflect this investment? Ayan. So, ibig sabihin, kumikita si investee, nag-i-increase yung value ng ating investment in associate. Yung dividendo, naka-receive tayo ng 2 million. Or 5 million times 40%. Ano yan? Yung dividendo, to recall, dahil treated natin as income ni investee, income din ni investor, ay return of capital na. Kasi itong 2 million na income, dividend income sana, ay part na nitong investment in associate. Kasi nga, meron siyang significant influence. Kaya niyang i-influence yung operation ni company. Kaya, ang treatment natin ng dividendo ay return of capital. Isinoli na. So, mabawasan yung investment in associate. Okay, so anong kasunod nating entry? Kanina, magkano yung excess share natin sa excess fair value ng equipment? 2.8 million. Ilang years daw? Sige, balikan natin yung problem. Ang sabi, yung equipment, 4 years. Yung inventory, nabenta lahat within the year. Okay. So, punta naman tayo dun sa ating diagram kanina. Okay. So, yung excess na 3 million composing nitong mga ito ay andito sa 15 million. Component sila ng 15 million. Itong 2.8 million ay related sa depreciable property. Ang entry ni investee, debit, depreciation expense, credit accumulated depreciation, ay hindi naman siya naka-state at fair value, kundi sa book value. So meaning, yung depreciation expense na ni-recognize ni investee. Kung kulang yung depreciation expense ni investee, yung 20 million itong 20 million na net profit ay overstated kasi kulang yung na-recognize na depreciation expense ni investee. Same with cost of sales. Yung share natin na 1.5 million dito, di ba ang entry niya, kung siya perpetual method, debit cost of sales, credit, inventory. Kulang ng 2.5 kung saan ang share natin ay 1 million. Meaning, itong net profit na naka-report ni investee ay overstated. So, anong gagawin natin? Ang gagawin natin ay yung tinatawag na amortization. I-amortize natin yung supposed to be na recognize sa net profit ni investee. Kasi yung kanyang net profit, net income, hindi consider yung fair values kasi siya naka-historical cost basis. Tayo naman, dahil ni-acquire natin siya as a portion nung properties ni investee ay atin. May equity tayo or ownership to the company itself, not only to the share itself. Okay? Kaya, i-amortize natin. Magkano ang amortization natin para sa equipment? Magkano share natin dyan? 2.8. Divide 4, 700,000. Magkano ang amortization natin ng inventory? Ilang percent ang nabenta? 100%. Magkano share natin dyan? 1 million. Ilang percent? 100%. So, 1 million amortization, 700,000 amortization for equipment, 1 million for the inventory. Anong entry? Itong amount na ito, yung share natin dito, saan natin nilagay? I-recall natin yung entry. So, inilagay natin yung share natin sa net income, ito siya. Debit investment in associate, credit investment, income. Yung share natin. E paano? Yung amortization. Di, baliktawin mo lang yung entry niya. Debit investment income, kasi understated yung income ni investee. Credit investment in associate. So, tingnan natin. So, debit investment income, credit investment in associate 700,000 yung para sa equipment, para sa inventories, debit investment income, credit investment in associate 1 million, and last, nasa na yung 800,000. The additional income siya. So, debit investment in associate, credit investment income 800,000. Nasaan yan? Balik tayo sa diagram. Ayan, yung additional incomes. Pero kung goodwill yan, di wala na amortization. Unless nagkaroon ng na-impair yung goodwill. Okay, so ganun yung ating investment in associate. So ano pa ang consideration natin kapag investment in associate? Kung may heavy losses ang investment, di ba? Kung may share tayo sa net income na investee, ang entry natin ay debit, investment in associate, credit investment, income. Eh what if laging nalulugi yung company, yung investee? Taon-taon lugi na lang. So kabaliktaran, debit investment loss, credit, investment in associate. So, anong effect sa investment in associate? Mabawasan. Sabi sa law, so kung mabawasan siya ng mabawasan, taon-taon na mabawasan ang net loss. Paano kung bumaba siya below zero? Ang tanong, pwede bang bumaba below zero yung investment in associate? No! Hindi siya pwede bumaba sa zero. Bakit? Kasi ang obligation lang naman natin sa corporation is to the amount of investment lang. Hindi tayo liable to the separate financial at separate asset of the investors. So, ano mangyayari? Di naka-state siya at zero. Paano yung succeeding negative sana? So, kung sa mga susunod na taon, nag-profit na siya, kailangan i-absorb muna yung accumulated losses na yun bago mag-increase uli to zero o mag-increase uli higher than zero yung value ng investment in associate. So, kung bumaba siya below zero, negative na, ipapresent mo pa siya sa FS as zero. Then, number of shares. Kasi may number of shares ka pa rin naman eh. Though zero ang value sa financial statements. Stated pa rin siya. Okay? Next. Paano kung may mga preference shares? Ano nga ba ang preference shares? Meron siyang preference sa net income. So, bago natin i-compute yung share natin sa net income ng company, i-less muna yung preference share dividend. Pag na-less na, yun pa lang yung paghahatian. Yun pa lang yung kukuha natin certain rate as our share. Okay, so i-deduct natin yung share ng preference shares. Kung cumulative yan, whether declared or not, ibabawas natin yung kanilang share sa net income, yun pa lang yung kukuha na natin ng certain rate natin. Okay? So, paano naman kung may mga downstream transaction or upstream transaction? So, from investee to investor upstream, gaya nung inyong activity last time. So, ang treatment doon, hanggat hindi pa nalabas dun sa isa, dahil treated sila as, ang treatment ng investor ay kanya din naman sa investee, partly nga lang, may portion pa daw unrealized until maibenta kung upstream, until maibenta ni investor. So dun sa inyong activity, sabi dun, so tulad pa rin, investment in associate, credit cash, yung dividendo ay return of capital. So magkakaiba ay sa net profit. Okay, balikan natin yung inyong activity. Case ano to? Case 3. Okay, so case 3. So case 3. Kanina, ang net profit for the year ay 3 million. Kaso, may unrealized pa. So from investee, nagbenta kay investor na si Heaven. Hindi pa nabebenta ni Heaven. So ibig sabihin na sa kanya pa, na-realize na ba yung profit? So as parang binenta niya sa sarili niya kasi tinitreat niya si associate as partly kanya din. Kaya ibig sabihin yung profit dun sa transaction na yun ay still sa viewpoint ng investor hindi pa yung nabebenta kasi halos nasa kanya pa din. So magkano yung unrealized profit na yun? 900 sales price, 600 na cost, 300,000. So meaning out of 3 million na net profit, yung 300,000 doon, hindi pa na-realize. Kaya ang realized profit lang ay 2.7 million. Times, ilang percent nga ba? 20%, so 540,000. Nabenta na on the following year, 2018. So, na-realize na. Kaso hindi naman napasama dun sa profit ng 18, sorry. Okay. So, out of 4 million, sige, compute muna natin yung dividendo, same din lang yung dividendo. Kaso nga lang, kabaliktaran dun sa tatlong na una natin discuss din, type ng investment, ito, return of investment. Hindi siya dividend income, instead, return of investment. So, paano naman yung profit? 4 million daw ang net profit, kaso, kasama ba dyan yung na-realize na profit dun sa sale na 900,000 na may cost na 600,000? No. So, 4 million plus 300,000. Then, year 2018, nagbenta na naman si investee kay Heaven. Sales price, 750. Cost, 500,000. 250. Nakasama ba yan sa 4 million? Yes. Kung nakasama yan sa 4 million, yung 4 million mo, overstated ng 250. Kulang ng 300. So, magkano yun? Di, 4 million 50. 4 million 50 times 20%. Ayan. 810,000. So, ganun yung investment in associate. So, nakita na natin kung paano yung investment sa iba't ibang category ng equity securities. So, nakita natin, as a recap, pag non-marketable equity securities, ang apektado, income lang, dividendo lang. Dividendo lang. So, may dividend income tapos cash. Ang entry naman kay investee ng dividendo niya, debit, retained earnings, credit cash. Tinanggal niya sa retained earnings. Pag naman sa fair values, napadagdag lang ay, napadagdag? Nire-reflect natin changes in fair value. Ang kaibahan ng TSAFS, kung saan nare-recognize yung unrealized gains or losses. Pagdating kay investment in associate, yung dividendo, return of capital, yung net income ay may share C, investor. Okay. So ngayon, pagdating mo, kasi dyan sa mga treatment na yan, yung investment in associate as a separate financial statement by the parent company, applicable lahat yan. Kaso, kahit anumang i-apply niya, pagdating mo sa consolidated financial statements, isa lang. Sa nagkaiba? Sa separate financial statements. Iba kasi, yung financial statement ni parent company, as hiwalay, as parent lang, kaysa dun sa parent and subsidiaries. Kasi yung parent and subsidiaries, yun na yung consolidated. So, ang tanong, paano yung eliminating entries dyan sa tatlong cases na yun? Bilang okay, so halos kagaya pa rin nung nakaraan, kaso ang kaibahan lang ay may transactions na during the year. So, ang sasagutan nyo ay problem number 1 and 2. Sorry. Problem number 1 and 2, pages 315 to 318 as your free assessment. So, okay? You may proceed na.